Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question before we begin. Why do some people succeed while others fail, even though they both had the same opportunities, the same hours in a day, and sometimes even the same resources? The difference is never luck. The difference is not talent alone. The difference is habits. Habits are the invisible architects of your destiny. And if you change your habits, you change your future. Today, I want to share with you 5 habits that do not just increase your chances of success, but they virtually guarantee it if you live by them. Clarity is the starting point of all achievement, the invisible force that separates those who wander aimlessly from those who walk purposefully toward destiny. Think about it for a moment. How can you hit a target you cannot see? How can you achieve greatness when you haven't defined what greatness looks like for you? Most people fail not because they lack potential, because they lack direction. They are running fast, but in circles. They are busy, but busy doesn't mean productive. What gives your energy meaning is clarity, because clarity is power. You see, clarity simplifies decision making. Without clarity, every opportunity looks attractive. And when everything looks attractive, you become paralyzed by choices. But when you have crystal clear clarity, you don't waste energy chasing everything. You pursue only what aligns with your vision. That kind of focus is what allows ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. It's not that they had more resources or more talent. It's that they had a clear target, and they aimed their entire life in that direction. Let me put it this way, clarity makes you magnetic. People are drawn to those who know where they are going. Investors want to partner with them, leaders want to support them, and opportunities seem to find them. Why? Because the world trusts someone who is certain about their path. When you walk with clarity, doors open that confusion could never unlock. Think about the people you admire most. They didn't just drift into success. They had a clear vision, and they chased it relentlessly until the world had no choice but to take notice. But here's the danger. Most people settle for fog. They settle for vague goals, half-hearted plans, and blurred dreams. And the problem with fog is that you can't build momentum in it. Clarity creates momentum because it gives you measurable milestones, something you can track, something you can pursue. When you wake up every morning with a clear sense of who you are, where you're going, and why it matters, you no longer need external motivation. You're pulled by the power of your vision. Ask yourself right now, if you had absolute clarity about what you wanted, how much faster could you get there? If you were crystal clear on your financial goals, your business mission, your spiritual growth, or even your health and relationships, how much confusion, wasted effort, and frustration could you eliminate? The truth is, the lack of clarity has cost you more than failure ever did. Failure at least teaches lessons, but confusion keeps you stuck in cycles. Clarity breaks the cycle. Now, don't confuse clarity with knowing every step. You don't need the entire map, you need a clear destination. A plane flying across the ocean doesn't see the entire route at once. It just knows the destination, and with that clarity, it keeps adjusting until it arrives. That's how life works. Stop waiting for every detail to make sense. Get clear on where you're headed, and the details will reveal themselves as you move forward. Clarity is not accidental. It's intentional. You create it by asking powerful questions. What do I want? Why do I want it? Who must I become to achieve it? How will my life and the lives of others change when I get there? These questions strip away the noise and bring focus to what truly matters. And when you know what matters, you stop giving your time, energy, and emotions to what doesn't. That's where your power comes from. Focus on essentials, not distractions. Imagine two men chopping wood. One swings his axe wildly at every tree in the forest, never cutting deeply enough to bring one down. The other picks one tree, one spot, and strikes it again and again until the tree falls. Who succeeds faster? The one with clarity. Life works the same way. You can swing your energy in every direction, or you can focus it with precision and knock down your goals one by one. Clarity is the foundation of confidence. People think confidence comes from personality, but real confidence comes from purpose. When you know your assignment, when you're certain of your direction, you don't stumble when obstacles appear, you walk through them. Your confidence is not arrogance, it is certainty rooted in clarity. And that kind of certainty will carry you further than talent, luck, or connections ever could. So if you want to guarantee success in life, stop chasing everything and start clarifying something. Pick your direction, lock onto it, and pursue it with relentless focus. Because once you have clarity, you don't need a push from behind. You'll be pulled forward by the magnetic force of your vision. Discipline is the unseen advantage that separates dreamers from achievers, the hidden ingredient that takes good intentions and turns them into tangible results. Everyone loves the idea of success, but very few are willing to embrace the habit that guarantees it. The truth is, motivation is a spark. It's exciting, it feels good, it gets you started, but discipline is the engine, and the engine keeps running long after the spark fades. Motivation depends on feelings, and feelings are fickle. Discipline depends on commitment, and commitment builds empires. Think about how many times people wait to feel like doing something. I'll work out when I'm motivated. I'll study when I'm inspired. I'll build my business when the timing feels right. That's not success, that's wishful thinking. The people who actually succeed are the ones who do what's required regardless of how they feel. Discipline says, I made a decision and my emotions don't get a vote. That is why disciplined people win while motivated people quit when it gets hard. Discipline is not punishment, it's training. It's training your body to obey your mind and your mind to obey your vision. Athletes don't win gold medals because they trained on the days they felt like it. They win because they trained on the days they didn't. Entrepreneurs don't build thriving businesses by acting only when conditions are perfect. They build them by showing up consistently when conditions were far from ideal. Discipline is the silent practice of showing up again and again until what was once difficult becomes natural. Here's the reality. Your future is being shaped by what you repeatedly do, not by what you occasionally do. Discipline is repetition with intention. When you discipline yourself to wake up early, to guard your time, to prioritize what matters most, you're programming your future for success. You might not see the results instantly, but over time, the compound effect of discipline will always outproduce the temporary thrill of motivation. One produces bursts, the other produces breakthroughs. Ask yourself this: what areas of your life have suffered because you waited on motivation? Maybe you had a dream that faded, a goal that kept getting postponed, or a vision that never materialized because you only worked on it when it felt exciting. Now, imagine how different the outcome would be if you had been disciplined. Imagine if you had worked on that dream every single day, even for just one focused hour, without waiting for inspiration. Where would you be today? The truth is, you could already be living the life you imagined, but discipline was missing. Discipline is freedom disguised as effort. At first, it feels restrictive, like you're giving up comfort or convenience. But in reality, Discipline is the very thing that frees you from the chains of regret. Regret is what happens when you live by feelings instead of principles. Discipline spares you from regret by ensuring you do today what your future self will thank you for tomorrow. Every act of discipline is an investment into your destiny. It's also worth understanding that discipline creates trust, both with yourself and with others. When you keep promises to yourself, you build self-respect. Every time you say, I'll do it, and you actually follow through, you teach yourself that your word matters. That's how confidence is built. And when others see your discipline, they trust you because consistency is rare in a world addicted to instant gratification. The disciplined person becomes a leader not because they seek the title, but because their habits make them an example. Picture this. Two people start a journey together. One is fired up, full of excitement, fueled by motivation. The other is steady, focused, and disciplined. After a few weeks, the motivated person gets distracted, discouraged, or bored, and they slow down. The disciplined one, they're still moving, still working, still showing up. Months later, the disciplined person has advanced so far that the motivated one can't even see them anymore. That's the power of discipline. It doesn't win in days, it wins in decades. So if you're serious about success, stop asking, how can I stay motivated? And start asking, how can I stay disciplined? Because motivation will give you moments, but discipline will give you mastery. Discipline is the decision to do it now so you don't pay later. It's the choice to build habits that carry you when feelings fail you. It's the guarantee that while others are waiting for inspiration, you're creating transformation. And the ones who create transformation are the ones the world remembers. Growth is the one commitment that guarantees you will never be the same person year after year. And yet it is the commitment so few people are willing to make. The truth is, life does not reward potential, it rewards progress. And progress only comes when you are intentional about growing every single day. Think about it. If you are not growing, you are shrinking. If you are not advancing, you are retreating. There is no neutral ground in life. Every day you either move closer to your destiny or drift further away from it. And the deciding factor is whether or not you choose to grow. The danger for many is settling. They reach a certain level of knowledge, a certain level of achievement, and then they get comfortable. But comfort is a silent killer of potential. The minute you think you have arrived, you stop striving, and the moment you stop striving, you start declining. Success is not a destination you arrive at one day. It is a process of becoming more, learning more, and stretching yourself beyond what feels easy. That's why the most successful people you admire are also the hungriest learners. They don't just celebrate what they've achieved, they challenge themselves with what's next. Growth requires humility, and humility is a strength, not a weakness. It takes humility to admit you don't know everything, humility to seek out mentors, humility to learn from criticism instead of running from it. Pride keeps people stuck at their current level because pride says, I've got this, I know enough, I don't need to change. But growth says, there's more in me, and I refuse to waste my life by staying the same. The difference between those who plateau and those who soar is not talent, it's teachability. Ask yourself right now, what are you doing daily to grow? Not once in a while, not when it's convenient, not when you feel like it, but daily. Do you read books that stretch your mind? Do you listen to wisdom instead of noise? Do you invest in experiences that challenge your comfort zone? Growth doesn't happen by accident. It's intentional. Nobody ever stumbled into greatness. They grew into it. Every great leader, every influential entrepreneur, every world changer became who they are by feeding their mind and spirit with new levels of knowledge and discipline day after day. And here's the beautiful part about growth. The more you grow, the more valuable you become. In the marketplace, people don't pay for time, they pay for value. And your value is directly tied to who you are becoming. If you are the same person today as you were 5 years ago, the world doesn't owe you more because you've aged. The world rewards you when you've grown. That's why the difference between someone earning average income and someone earning extraordinary income is not luck, it's growth. They didn't just do more, they became more. Growth also changes the way you handle challenges. A small problem will crush a small person, but the same problem won't even shake someone who has grown larger on the inside. When you grow, your capacity increases. What used to overwhelm you becomes something you handle with ease. This is why life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. Growth equips you to face bigger challenges because you've developed bigger strength. Think about the metaphor of a tree. If a tree stops growing, it begins dying. Its roots stop expanding, its branches stop stretching, and eventually it loses its ability to bear fruit. But a tree that continues to grow not only survives, it thrives. It provides shade, shelter, and fruit for others. That's the picture of your life when you commit to growth. You don't just grow for yourself, your growth becomes a blessing to everyone connected to you. The real question is not, will growth cost me something? Because it will. Growth will cost you time, comfort, and effort. The real question is, what will it cost me if I don't grow? And the answer is simple. It will cost you your future. It will cost you the opportunities you could have seized, the influence you could have carried, the life you could have lived. The price of growth is temporary, but the price of stagnation is permanent. So decide today that growth is not optional. It's who you are. Refuse to let a single day go by without becoming wiser, stronger, sharper, and more capable than you were yesterday. Because if you keep growing daily, success won't be something you chase, it will be something you attract. Resilience is the quality that turns pain into power, the inner force that transforms failure into fuel and setbacks into stepping stones. Without resilience, every challenge becomes a roadblock. With resilience, every challenge becomes a classroom. It's not a matter of if life will test you, it's a matter of when. And when it does, resilience will decide whether you stay down or rise stronger. The truth is, success does not belong to the one who never falls. It belongs to the one who refuses to stay down. Most people give up far too soon. They face rejection once and they quit. They try an idea, it doesn't work, and they retreat. They dream big, but the first storm makes them abandon ship. What they don't realize is that storms are part of the journey. Every great achievement carries with it great resistance. The question is not whether you will face resistance. The question is whether you will bounce back when it comes. Resilience is that bounce back power, the ability to get hit hard and still keep moving forward with determination. Think about how many success stories you admire. Behind every one of them is a season of pain, failure, or rejection that could have ended the story right there. But it didn't, because resilience refused to let the story end in defeat. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper job for lacking imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. What made them legendary wasn't that they avoided setbacks. It's that setbacks couldn't stop them. That's resilience. Resilience is also the cure for fear. Fear says, what if I fall? Resilience answers, then I'll get back up. Fear says, what if I fail? Resilience responds, failure is feedback, and feedback makes me stronger. When you live with resilience, fear loses its grip because you already know that nothing can permanently defeat you. Even when you fall, you rise. Even when you lose, you learn. Even when you're delayed, you're not denied. That mindset makes you unstoppable. The beauty of resilience is that it turns pain into purpose. When life knocks you down, you have two options. You can stay on the ground and let pain define you, or you can rise and let pain refine you. Resilience chooses refinement. It says, this trial will not break me, it will build me. The strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire, and the most powerful leaders are shaped in the most difficult seasons. If you're in a storm, don't despise it. Use it. Let it build muscles in you that ease never could. Resilience also attracts respect. People trust those who don't crumble under pressure. They follow leaders who can stand tall when everything around them is falling apart. When others see you take a hit and keep going, they are inspired to do the same. Your resilience becomes a testimony, a living example that setbacks are not the end, and they are only part of the process. And in a world full of people who quit too soon, the resilient ones shine brighter because they finish what others abandon. Ask yourself this: what would happen if you stopped quitting so quickly? What would your life look like if you decided that no matter what came against you, you would not stop until you win? How many dreams have died because people walked away too early? How many visions never materialized because the pain of the process felt too heavy? If you truly want success, you must be resilient enough to endure the process, because the prize is always on the other side of pain. Resilience is not about never feeling discouraged. It's about refusing to let discouragement dictate your decisions. It's about telling yourself, I may be tired, I may be hurt, I may be delayed, but I will not be defeated. That's what creates champions. Champions are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who endured when others gave up. Every setback you faced has been preparing you for a comeback, but only resilience will allow you to step into it. So when life knocks you down, rise. When failure stares you in the face, learn. When pain presses in, grow. Because resilience is the habit that ensures nothing in life can stop you, not rejection, not failure, not disappointment. And when you live with resilience, you don't just survive the storms. You come out of them stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you were before. Faith is the foundation of bold action, the invisible force that pushes you beyond what seems possible and into the realm of extraordinary. Most people wait for certainty before they move, but those who achieve greatness understand that certainty doesn't come before action. It comes after it. Faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is the courage to move in spite of fear. It's the conviction that if the vision was placed in you, the provision is already waiting for you. And until you take that step forward, you'll never see the path unfold. So many dreams die because people wait for everything to line up perfectly. They say, when the money comes, then I'll start. When the timing is right, then I'll act. When I feel more confident, then I'll go. But perfection never comes, and in the meantime, opportunities pass them by. Faith says, I may not have it all figured out, but I trust the one who gave me the vision. I'll step out now, and I'll build along the way. That's why faith is the fuel of bold action. It empowers you to act before the evidence, and to move before the resources, and to believe before the breakthrough. Think about every world changer, They didn't wait until conditions were perfect. They moved when it didn't make sense. Noah built an ark before rain ever fell. Abraham left his home without knowing his destination. Entrepreneurs launch businesses before the market believes in them. Leaders step into roles before they feel qualified. It's always the same story. Faith comes first, then results follow. If you want uncommon success, you must be willing to take uncommon steps, and that requires faith. Faith-driven action also creates momentum. Once you step out, you invite opportunities, resources, and relationships that you could never access while standing still. Life responds to boldness. The doors don't open while you wait. They open when you knock. The bridges don't appear while you stand. They appear while you walk. If you want to experience levels of success others only dream about, you must be willing to act on faith while others are waiting on certainty. And here's the truth. Fear and faith both require you to believe in something you cannot see. Fear believes in failure. Faith believes in victory. Fear imagines the worst. Faith expects the best. The one you feed is the one that dominates your life. Too many people let fear be their guide, and fear always leads to hesitation, regret, and missed opportunities. But when you choose faith, even if the path is uncertain, you gain the strength to walk through doors others are too afraid to touch. Faith doesn't ignore reality. It transcends it. It doesn't deny the obstacles, but it declares that obstacles are not the final word. Faith says, yes, the mountain is there, but I can climb it. Faith says, yes, the odds are against me, but I was made to defy odds. Faith says, yes, I may be small, but the power working in me is greater than anything working against me. That kind of mindset creates boldness, and boldness creates results. The power of faith-driven action is that it multiplies your influence. People are drawn to those who act boldly, not those who hesitate endlessly. When you move in faith, others see courage in you that they wish they had themselves. Your steps of faith give them permission to step out too. Boldness is contagious. Every act of faith you take is bigger than you. It's a signal to the world that impossible is negotiable. Ask yourself this: how many opportunities have you missed because you waited for the perfect time? How many doors could have been opened if you had just knocked sooner? How much further could you be if you had acted when the idea first came to you instead of waiting for everything to line up? The truth is, hesitation is expensive. Faith is what saves you from that cost. It pulls you out of doubt, pushes you into motion, and keeps you moving even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Faith is not passive belief. It is active trust. It's not just saying, I believe. It's proving it with action. If you believe your dream is possible, take the first step today. If you believe your future is greater than your past, invest in it now. If you believe your purpose matters, stop waiting and start building. Because the moment you move in faith, life itself moves with you. Consistency is the quiet force that builds empires, the invisible hand that turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Too many people underestimate the power of showing up every single day, doing the right things again and again, even when no one is watching, even when the results are not immediate. Success doesn't belong to the person who does something amazing once. It belongs to the person who does the small, faithful things daily until those small things compound into something incredible. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is unstoppable. Think about the law of compound interest. A little invested daily grows into a fortune over time. The same principle applies to your habits, your discipline, your work ethic. One workout doesn't transform your body, but daily workouts will. One sales call doesn't change your business, but making calls every day will. One act of kindness doesn't change the culture of your home, but consistent kindness builds unshakable trust. Life rewards those who are consistent, not those who are occasionally excellent. The problem with most people is that they confuse intensity with consistency. They go all in for a week, burning with excitement, working harder than ever before, but when the emotion fades, they stop. That is why they never see results. Success doesn't come from spurts of effort. It comes from sustained effort. The person who works steadily day after day will always surpass the person who works furiously and quits early. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Consistency also builds credibility. When you are consistent, people learn they can count on you. Your clients, your team, your family, they trust you because you show up the same way every time. That trust becomes influence, and influence becomes impact. In a world full of people who start strong but don't finish, the one who is consistent stands out like a beacon. People follow those who are stable, not those who are unpredictable. And here's something powerful. Consistency creates momentum. At first, your efforts may feel small, like they're not making a difference. But with each step, each action, each day of showing up, you start to gather speed. Momentum is built slowly, but once it's rolling, it becomes unstoppable. That's why the hardest part of success is the beginning, when you're sowing seeds without seeing fruit. But if you stay consistent, the harvest will come, and when it does, it comes bigger than you imagine. Consistency also shapes identity. Every time you follow through on your commitments, you're not just achieving a task, you're proving to yourself who you are. You're telling yourself, I'm the kind of person who does what I say. That builds self-respect, and self-respect creates confidence. On the other hand, every time you quit, you teach yourself the opposite, that your words don't matter, that you can't trust yourself. Success starts with identity, and identity is built by consistency. Ask yourself this: what would happen if you simply refused to quit? What if you kept writing the book, kept making the calls, kept practicing your craft, kept showing up to the gym, kept studying every day, no matter how you felt? Where would you be a year from now if you stayed consistent, even when progress was slow? The truth is, most people don't fail because they can't succeed. They fail because they didn't stay consistent long enough for success to show up. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you never miss a day or never make a mistake. It means you keep going, you keep showing up, and you refuse to let setbacks throw you off course. Even if you fall, you get back up and keep the pattern alive. Success isn't about never stumbling, it's about never stopping. That's why consistency is the great equalizer. It levels the playing field because anyone can be consistent if they choose to be. And the most exciting part is this: when you are consistent, breakthroughs become inevitable. You can't keep sowing seeds without eventually reaping a harvest. You can't keep knocking on doors without eventually finding one that opens. You can't keep working your craft without eventually mastering it. Breakthroughs aren't random. They are the result of consistent action multiplied over time. Your breakthrough may not come tomorrow or next week, but if you keep showing up, it must come, because consistency guarantees results. So decide today that you will not be the person who starts and stops. Be the person who stays steady, who keeps pressing, who refuses to give up. Because when you master consistency, you don't just chase success. You attract it, and it has no choice but to meet you.